What's up, guys? Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host, Caleb. If you want to support me, you can now follow me on Patreon. It's my way to hopefully give back to you while making this my full-time job. You can also always use that TCGplayer link in the description down below. Buying cards gives me a kickback, and you get your cards. Last but not least, don't forget to follow me on moxfield. It's the easiest way for you to see whenever I upload a deck list. You can copy the deck list, tweak them to your own liking, and even download them and playtest them online. Now, let's get into the Enduring Enchantments Precon upgrade. And honestly, this deck out of the box is not terrible. We are going to up the card draw a little bit and removal, but the ramp is perfectly fine and the deck should function out of the box, which is a pleasant surprise. We also do have some new bombs in the deck, so it's not terrible there either. The only thing is the price point. That's a little, I don't know, but that's a different thing. We're not going to talk about that. The commander. I'm in love with the commander. Okay, I love exiling stuff from your graveyard. It makes you make choices, you know, what's most impactful, what can I afford to lose, what needs to stay in there for later. And honestly, exiling something from your graveyard is not the boogeyman of the format people make it out to believe. This is a 100-card singleton format. If you don't play enough targets to reanimate with this girl, that's kind of on the deck building. It's not really on the commander. So we're going to make sure we're throwing enough stuff in the graveyard. That way we always have an impactful target for her to reanimate. And then again, if the board gets wiped, the board gets wiped, but that's not only going to fill our graveyard up with more enchantments for her to reanimate, it's also just going to allow us to rebuild faster than our opponents. So look at it as an advantage instead of a disadvantage, and it'll really change your look on this commander. Now, this is going to be a 20 card upgrade, or sorry, 15 card upgrade, $20. That way, it's a little bit cheaper because of the deck being so expensive, but at the end of the video, I will include some non-budget options that are really going to upgrade this deck and turn it into a monster. But some of the upgrades we're already putting in the deck is going to do that. So without further ado, let's get into those upgrades. Let's kick it off by talking about some of the bombs we're adding to this deck. Song of the World Soul is going to be insanely busted because now we're going to reanimate that with our commander, pay nothing for it, and then every time we cast a spell, we're just going to be creating token copies of our most impactful enchantment creatures. So Song of the World Soul is going to be an amazing target for this, right? We can just keep creating token copies of Song of the World Soul, creating a massive army of 3/3 zombies. In this deck, this card effectively reads, whenever you cast a spell, double your board state. Growing Ranks. Now this isn't as busted, but still, getting a token copy of your most impactful enchantment creature every turn is going to be incredibly impactful, especially since there's so many Anthem effects in this deck. Legion of Loyalty. This is just going to straight up give all of our creatures myriad. This effectively means whenever we attack one opponent with a creature, we're going to create a token copy of that creature tapped and attacking all of our other opponents as well, which can be extremely busted, especially when you take into account all of our Anthem effects. Collective Blessings is an enchantment we're definitely going to cheat into play with our commander, and then it's basically just going to double all of the power of those 3/3s, turning them into 6/6s, and they're going to be really hard to deal with. We are also running Familiar Ground, which is a really messed up card in this deck. It effectively makes all of your enchantment creatures, including your commander, unblockable. Now your commander will have no issue getting that attack trigger, and honestly, you could be presenting lethal pretty soon. Privileged Position is also going to be a super solid card in the deck. Just giving all of our permanents hexproof is going to make sure the only thing we have to worry about is a board wipe. But in case of a board wipe, I did shove Rootborn Defense in the deck, so now we are populating our most important enchantment creature and protecting our board state altogether. Chivalric Alliance, this is going to be super solid not only for card advantage, but it is going to be a solid discard outlet. That way we can get rid of those super expensive enchantments, throw them into the graveyard, and reanimate them with our commander. Mask of Memory, again, we're going to draw 2 cards, so we're up on that card advantage, and then we're just going to discard whatever we want to reanimate next turn. Key to the City, again, it's solid card advantage, while also just making our commander unblockable and being a discard outlet. This card does everything the deck wants to do. Underrealm Lich can get a graveyard going extremely fast. It's one of the best ways to 1, churn through your deck, it's amazing card selection, and it gets those enchantments that we want into the graveyard in there very fast. Weaver of Harmony, not only is this guy another solid anthem to buff up our board, he is also going to be able to double up on our commander's ability, so now we're reanimating 2 enchantments each turn. And then even if we don't have our commander on the battlefield, we have a ton of targets for this. Elemental Bond. This card 100% should have been included in the Precon, and I don't know why it wasn't. This is amazing in the deck. Every time we bring one of those 3/3 zombies onto the battlefield using our commander's ability, it's gonna just straight up draw us a card. Another thing of note, if we have an Anthem giving our creatures +2/+2, if we cast a 1/1, this will still trigger Elemental Bond because it will be a 3/3 entering the battlefield, so it even works on that front. Beast Within and Generous Gift are solid permanent removal cards. These are so flexible, I think they definitely need to be thrown in the deck. Now let's move on to those non-budget options I was talking about. We have Anointed Processions and Parallel Lives. Really anything that doubles your tokens is going to be amazing in this deck, but definitely these two just because of how cheap they are and how efficient they are. Cather's Crusade, this one's amazing. Now anytime a creature enters the battlefield, boom, we're buffing up our entire board state. Start making multiple token copies of this and it's going to get insane really fast. Calyx Guided by Fate is another bomb that is just going to create more token copies of our enchantments. Nyxbloom Ancient, talking about bombs. Chuck this guy into the graveyard and reanimate him and boom, enjoy your triple mana. Teferi's Protection and Clever Concealment, we do have to exile our enchantments from our graveyard so we don't get additional value off of them once we turn them into creatures. This makes our board state extremely valuable and we want to protect it by any means possible. These two cards are going to give us some solid peace in mind knowing that our board state is completely safe even in case of a board wipe. Smothering Tithe, this one's insane in the deck, especially once you start making token copies of it. The value is going to be crazy and you're going to have unlimited mana. Teleportation Circle, a solid enchantment that's just going to blink our commander, reanimating more enchantment cards from the graveyard. Grave Pact and Dictate of Erebos are going to be super solid. Now anytime our board gets messed with, it's going to mess with our opponent's board. This is going to make it to where they really don't want to mess with our creatures or chump block them, which is really important for our commander connecting. Or in Frostfang, we are going to have a lot of creatures in the deck, so drawing cards whenever those creatures connect is going to be extremely useful, especially since now they have Death Touch and Menace. So for every one creature they want to block of ours, they're going to lose 2. So 9 times out of 10, they're just going to let our creatures through because they don't want to lose all of their creatures. That's going to do it for the video, guys. If you guys are looking for what cards I cut, you can go down to the moxfield link down below. It's got all the cards I cut, all the cards I added, the non-budget options, everything. Just make sure you sort by tags and it should do the work for you. Also, don't forget to follow me. I will be building this commander from the ground up, making my own deck tech, so following me will make sure you don't miss it. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors.